Angela, are you going to continue this into next month?
What we're looking at is going once a week, starting in June, probably on Mondays, and maybe extending the time a little bit, but only holding it once a week.
I think that makes sense.
I think it still gives us a platform to put out some good information and stuff.
Absolutely.
But yeah. Well, it is 11 o'clock, is it not? Nope, my husband says yes.
Good morning.
Oh, there's Thad.
Welcome to Bar.
Every time.
We've got a great guest on, of course, our returning Bill Nugent, to talk to us a little bit about how we need to be having a new mindset on mindfulness as we enter stage 2 of the governor's return to normalcy orders. So one of the things that we gave you for links are stakeholders advisory session recordings. This is related to the 21st and the 14th of May stakeholder sessions. And also there are more checklists at the DECD website. And in particular, I was looking at the one for gatherings, large social gatherings. And I think what she's anticipating is up to 50 people, I think, starting in June, but it doesn't appear to actually be in the checklist. So what it does talk about, though, is a couple tips on making sure when you do get together that you don't get together with people that should be in self-quarantine for 14 days because they come from out of state, and to maintain your social distancing of 6 feet or more. So maybe June will, well, I know Bill's going to share some thoughts with us on our walk into June. So with that, Bill, I see you're there, and we'd love to hear from you on your thoughts on mindfulness.
Great. Thank you, Thad. Good morning, everyone. I have some thoughts. They're not necessarily specifically on mindfulness, but they do have to do with looking at phase 2 of the COVID-19 restrictions. I don't know whether anybody from last week started keeping a gratitude list this week, but if you did, or if you're like Thad and myself, you've already been doing it. One of the things I had down was finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, in that phase 1 was finally phasing out, and there'll be reduced restrictions in phase 2, and among them are gatherings increasing from 10 up to 50. And that I did see it on the CDC website that was part of the phase 2 restrictions. More folks are going to be able to return to the workplace, and more businesses will be open and available to us. And that's all wonderful and very helpful for us. But those moves are made primarily for economic reasons, because the economy is in such difficult shape. It's really important as we go into phase 2, I would submit, that we need to keep in mind that while the restrictions may have changed, the virus has not. COVID-19 is the same virus that it was back in March, and it poses the same threat, especially to people who are in certain categories. But COVID-19 is 5 to 10% more, has a 5 to 10% more fatalities than seasonal flu. And when you look at the age groups, people in their 60s have a 3 to 4% mortality rate with this disease, and people in their 70s have a 7 to 9% mortality rate. And people 80 or above have a 13 to 17% mortality rate with this disease. And there are a lot of other people who have compromised immune systems or other pre-existing conditions that make them much more vulnerable to COVID-19. So it's very important, it's vital, I think, to continue the practices that we've undertaken since March. We need to continue washing our hands frequently. We need to continue using hand sanitizers when it's appropriate. And social distancing is very important. It's also important to avoid places where social distancing either isn't possible or it's unlikely to be practiced. I think folks have seen photographs in the news of various gatherings on beaches and other places over the Memorial Day weekend in which large numbers of people were not practicing social distancing. That may result in a resurgence of the disease. I don't know. I hope not. But it's very important if you are in a category where you may be more vulnerable, that you avoid situations like that. So masks in public is something that actually I'm getting used to it. I don't know if anybody else is, but now it's kind of, I go to the supermarket, I've got a mask on. Doesn't make any, doesn't seem odd now anymore. And the last thing, which is really important, and I think it's the hardest thing, at least for me to do, is to avoid keeping your hands to your face. I think that's one of the hardest things that I found through this. So we really have to continue this to keep ourselves safe. Now, the pandemic has had a significant impact on the economy as well as on public health. And in fact, I think a lot of people would feel that the economic impact has been much more extensive than the medical impact. And some of us have gotten some temporary relief from the financial problems that we have. There have been suspensions of installment debts. There have been reductions in the necessity of payments. There have been deferring rents, things such as that. But those things will be coming to an end. And it's very clear from many, many studies that debt and financial difficulties have an impact on mental health, and sometimes a very significant impact. And they especially have an impact on people who have a previous mental health issue that they're dealing with. But there have been some studies even that have shown that financial difficulties and debt problems actually have created mental health problems for people who have not had any pre-existing problems. So it's kind of logical when you think about it, because financial difficulties, certainly increase anxiety and stress. They make a lot of people depressed. And for some people with substance use disorders, they may become aggravated by these kind of problems. It's important, therefore, I think, to address the mental health issues and the financial issues as they arise. If someone has a mental health problem, mental health condition, it's important to have it treated, to continue therapy if you're in therapy, or to begin therapy if you haven't in the past and you find that the financial difficulties are really getting overwhelming for you. And many therapists take insurance. Some work on a sliding scale depending upon income. And others, a lot of them will work with patients to arrange some sort of financial arrangement to accept their fees over a period of time, a payment plan or something like that. I know it's very hard to suggest that you spend money when part of the problem, or a significant part of the problem, is you've got financial problems, and money is the problem. But often for people with serious issues such as depression or anxiety, it's absolutely essential to treat those things if you're going to be able to address the financial problems that need to be addressed. Too many people who have anxiety or depression are so filled with shame or fear that they can't deal with it. They can't take a grip on the problem and move forward. And until they're able to do that, then the financial problem's not going to be of assistance. And if there are people who feel that they're having a lot of stress and some mental health issues may be coming on because of financial problems, There are credit counseling agencies that are available. There are 12-step groups. Debtors Anonymous is a very effective organization for people who find themselves deeply in debt and have difficulty getting out of it. I think it's really important that in either case, people don't wait around until things become a complete crisis. It's so much easier to address these issues early on rather than later on. In almost all cases, waiting more time is not going to be helpful. In fact, it's going to aggravate the problem. It sometimes is very difficult to take the steps necessary to get that help, but it's vital to do so. Thanks, Thad.
Bill, thank you very much. And we do appreciate you joining us here on a fairly regular basis since Bar Talk started, and your words are helpful for us to zero in not only on ourselves but our friends too, and check in with them. Thank you again. On business side, Angela, what's going down with the MSBA?
So good morning, everybody. You'll see on the slide there that I've got staff returning to our MSB office in Augusta on a staggered schedule, even though the guidance says we can open. We have 9 employees, so we automatically fall under the groups of 10 at this point, so it doesn't that applies to us, that we could be in there all at once. But we've decided to implement a staggered schedule in June for the month of June, and then come July, we'll all be in there. So I have a back to work plan. Obviously, it's specific to my office with 9 people, but if anybody is interested in seeing what I put together, by no means am I an expert on this, but I looked at a lot of other bar associations and across the country and other entities and their checklists, and tried to put together my plan with a lot of that in there. And so if anybody would like to see that for their office, just for an idea, I'd be happy to share it with you, because it's going to be an interesting thing. And we're doing the staggered schedule mostly just to make, I mean, since we've all been out of the office, just getting back into a schedule of going to the office on a daily basis is going to be difficult. So, but, Bill is talking about wellness, so we're trying to keep that in mind as well. So anyway, you'll also see we've got some upcoming guests the rest of this week, and then next Monday we've got Acting Chief Justice Meade joining us. That's it.
Thank you very much, Angela. And on the MSBA side, just so you know, one of the things that we're working in the background is the message has been given by Justice Meade that if he has like a large gravity, let's say, of issues that are in particular more important than others as they relate to more attorneys than just small groups of attorneys, that he would work hard to push any changes like that through the judicial branch. So we're working with the Maine Trial Lawyers Association and trying to get like sort of a gravity of the main, 2 or 3 issues that we'd like to see addressed as a stakeholders group. And if you've got any thoughts on that at all, please forward those up. We anticipate issuing a joint or a simultaneous letter by the end of the week. So please, provide us all the feedback you can about how you think both temporarily and permanently things may need to change at the judicial branch so that we can move forward in an efficient manner. Just to give you an example, one of the things that is at the top of the list for the Maine Trial Lawyers Association that they're asking the MSBA to back is electronic signatures. So, you know how a lot of us have co-workers that are separate from us. So they, you know, we might have, like at my office, for instance, we have 4 people working separately in their own homes. And one of the things that, you know, the attorneys have brought up in the past is the ability to have whoever is writing the letter, let's say the assistant who's going to process it to the court, be able to process that letter for the court with like an electronic signature of some sort, you know, like a /s/ or something like that, so that the person that developed the letter and can process it, mail it, etc. So like that was one of their main issues, and that could be something that of course carries on right into doing electronic filing when it debuts toward the end of this year. My understanding is and Julie Finn here might have some thoughts on that too. My understanding from not only the communications directorate of the judicial branch, but also the last I had heard from the judicial branch is that they are moving forward with issuing, of course, the electronic filing process toward the end of the year. And as you know, we're asked for comments, I think up until June 4th on rules 1 and 2 and a few miscellaneous rules toward the end on electronic filing by the judicial branch. So please, anything that you forward up there, please share with us so that we sort of have a bird's eye view of what's happening or what's being submitted. All right, I've gone over my time. I guess briefly, I want to say thankful for the quality time that this shutdown has actually given me over this past weekend with family, because of essentially just not having as much on the plate. So it's been good, a little less stressful. I did have to watch my daughter getting married on Zoom though, but aside from that, it was a good weekend. I'll see everyone tomorrow. We have District Attorney Andrew Robinson coming on to tell us about his emergence from this pandemic.
Congratulations, Thad.
Thank you, Angela. We
Yes,
have a member of the
congratulations.
family. Thanks. All right. Have a great day, and see you tomorrow at 11.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.